Good morning. Something a little different this morning. We're going to start with a prelude of words, followed by a musical prelude. So I'm going to welcome you just to close your eyes, settle into your chair, and just be in this moment. Here are some words to start us off this morning. Today, I'm going to live like there's hope. Against all odds, against all advice, and certainly against any current news feed, I'm going to live like there is still hope. I might even be defiant and stubborn, but I'm going to aim to be an absolute curmudgeon for hope. In reality, that means I have to be much more gentle with myself. All my fears and my heartaches, all the anxieties of being a person at this moment, in this age, at my age, I'm going to need to take more deep breaths and relax my jaw and my neck. I need to turn away from everything in the world that whispers at me or screams at me to give up, to stop trying, to give in to despair. But I don't know if I can work any harder to stay informed and stay sane at the same time. I need to remember that love is not in danger. Love is not in danger. Love has always survived everything, from grief to fascism to zealot nationalism to outright war. Love can prevail. I mean, not without loss, but love can prevail. So I'm going to choose to say yes to participating in the renewal of all things, even those small, ordinary things of my everyday. When I make my coffee in the mornings, I'm going to sit a little longer on the couch, look out the window, admire the sunrise, and snuggle those kittens. I'm going to visit the seedlings in the makeshift greenhouse we put up last weekend because despite the cold temperatures this week, spring is coming again. And I will revel when I see those first seedlings sprouts. And I'm going to hug my tall, beautiful, complicated adult child and my less tall yet equally complicated spouse, because we're all complicated, aren't we? I need to love these people more on purpose, with particularity, and in completely ordinary ways. And I got to remember that I'm not alone, not by a long shot, because we are all here. You are here, and I am here, and we're all here just doing our best to tip the scales towards goodness still. So today, may I trust in the wisdoms of all versions of elders and all of the earth who have seen it all, and still speak of hallelujahs. I'm going to try and live as if everything will actually be made right someday, that justice will prevail and tears will be wiped away and every exile can lead the dancing. May I try and keep loving this world until it breaks my heart, and even then, may I sit in and with the pieces, holding on to love. Because hope and love are all we have, you and I, and no one, and no thing can actually take them away from us. So today, I'm going to love like there is still hope. May it be so. Well, good morning again. My name's Rebecca. I'm your service coordinator this morning. In all honesty, I'm currently a kitten-smitten human, although I have promised this morning not to show any cat photos in the service. Instead, I have this really short video. Okay, watch this. Look at that. How do I get anything done in my house? Can you play it again, Steele? Just hit it. Seriously, does that not exemplify that we can all be loving and loved at the same time? So a big hearty welcome to everyone, including those folks who will later watch the service from home. Welcome to the home of the North Shore Unitarians, this community whose mission it is to empower people to live with greater depth, meaning and purpose. Depth, meaning, and purpose. Here we celebrate people from all walks of life, no matter what your story, no matter what you do or you did for work, no matter who you love. We hope you feel welcome here. We hope that eventually you feel you belong here. Because here we believe that embracing our diversity together makes us stronger, wiser, and more whole. Here in this beautiful building, in a lovely little bit of the woods of the North Shore, on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people. This wonderful place that we come to on Sunday mornings for a weekly dose of courage, compassion, and community. It's just so good to be together. Jill's going to lead us in our gathering song this morning, a wonderful, rousing version that we'll all join in eventually. It's called Peter Mayer's Where is the Light? He'll start us off, and then you'll see when the moment comes for us all to join in.
When it's late December, dark and cold, where is the light? When old man here is bending low, where is the light? When the sun goes off to bed too soon, where is the light? And there's nothing but a skinny moon. Where is the light? Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. And it's dark each morning when I rise. Where is the light? And it's dark when my eggs are frying. Where is the light? And it's dark when off to work I go. Where is the light? And it's dark again when I come home. Where is the light? Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. It's in my skin and in my bones, in my heart and in my soul. It's light of light so dark and gleaming like a summer's day. When the sun goes missing in the sky, it is rising in my eyes, chasing all this winter gloom away. I'm burning bright like kerosene. Where is the light? I'm twinkling like a Pleiades. Where is the light? I'm dancing like a candle flame. Where is the light? And I'm flaming like a fruit flambe. Where is the light? Can you tell me where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me again. Where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Oh, the light's inside of me. 2, 3, 4, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you, Jill. What a rousing way to get us going this morning. He's now going to double duty and come light the candles. So let us light our chalice and candles together as we begin this service. We kindle this flame as a symbol of our gathering. May the light of understanding illuminate our darkness. May the warmth of sharing bring us peace. Next, we'll light our candles of joys and sorrows. As ever, there are many joys. First, to everyone who showed up for the Building and Grounds event yesterday. Fun, and doesn't the grounds look stunning as we drove in this morning? They look really great, so thank you to everyone, woohoo, who came to help with that. I spy with my little eye there has been a birthday girl among us. Sue Forbes celebrated a birthday this week. Happy birthday, Sue. Wasn't a big round birthday or anything, just a regular birthday, you know. Are there any other joys to share this morning? I'll share, we have some friends visiting from Ontario, and we went for a walk yesterday into the Big Cedar Trail, and it was so fun to see through their eyes, like their amazement at the forests and the trees, and it was just so fun. So again, just remembering the joys of being here, things we can take for granted every day. Any sorrows? We're sad to share that Nina Tyson passed away this week at the age of 94. According to the article in the North Shore News, she passed away with her daughter Carol at her side, which is lovely. Our thoughts go out to her family and friends here and beyond. And it's our understanding there will be a service at some point in the summer, but those details will be shared when they're known. Any other sorrows or concerns? Well, then we'll now light our last candle this morning, a candle of global concern. I think we need to light a whole room full of candles of global concern. Thank you, Jill. One of our UU principles is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And I've been thinking lately, like, how can we say we live by that principle with all that's happening in this world? I don't really have an answer to that, but I know it gets pretty heavy at times. So I thought this morning we'd share something a little bit, uplifting for our candle of global concern. So here's my thought. We've all followed the success of the Artemis II mission, space mission, right? Many of us watched the landing a week ago on Friday. That's an amazing example of international collaboration and a positive use of technology. 4 astronauts traveled 10 days, circumnavigating the moon, traveling the furthest in space ever, beating the record of Apollo 13 from 1970. That's amazing. And of course, including Canadian Jeremy Hansen. Well, all 4 astronauts were individually impressive, but I particularly respect and congratulate NASA for celebrating their teamwork and camaraderie, and how NASA repeatedly reinforced that this was a mission for all of humanity. That's more than enough for our candle of global concern this morning, an international story, good news story of a mission for all of humanity. But there's something else I want to add to that story. Anyone know anything about this picture? Has something to do with NASA. Okay, so in the late 1950s, NASA was deep in research, working hard to advance the plans for space exploration. But they needed to understand what periods of weightlessness would do to the human body. And try as they might, they had this challenging problem. Every one of their test subjects kept getting awful motion sickness. So at the time, there was a fairly good understanding of how the body keeps us balanced, how our body knows where it is in space, our position, our orientation. Our understanding is much better now. It was known even then, though, that it relates to our inner ear. We have an outer ear, we can see. We have a middle ear, that's where all the kids get the infections. And we have an inner ear, and that contains our vestibular organs, our organs of balance. And it has these semicircular canals that send signals to our brain about our body's position, and then that kicks in all sorts of reflexes. I'm getting to the point here. So you have a reflex, for example, that goes from your brain to your eyes to say how to steady your gaze on a target when your body's moving. There's another reflex that tells your bones and your muscles how to keep yourself steady when you're on uneven ground. There's another reflex to our stomach that makes us feel nauseous or maybe even violently puke when we're on a roller coaster or a fast-moving car. So back in the 50s, NASA joined with the US Naval School of Aviation Medicine, this joint research program, to study the effects of gravity and weightlessness on the human body, and it recruited 11 men from Gallaudet College, now called Gallaudet University, which was the American School for the Deaf, because those 11 people had no hearing. They had meningitis, most of them as children, which knocked out their ability to hear, but also took out their organs of balance. their inner ear. So they were actually like immune to motion sickness. So NASA hired this group, which became known as the Gallaudet 11, for years of research and tests on weightlessness, balance, and motion sickness. So for example, they put them in a room for like 12 days, a room that was constantly moving at 10 revolutions per minute. Because before that, we had no idea what constant motion like that would do to humans. They put them into this special aircraft that had no gravity. They called it the Vomit Comet. But these Gallaudet College folks, they didn't have that experience because they had no kind of sense or issue with balance. And through that, NASA learned the connections between body orientation and gravitational cues. And the one really famous experiment, they were out on a boat in the very choppy waters between Nova Scotia and St. Pierre and Miquelon, like up Canadian territory, some of the roughest water in the Atlantic Ocean. The researchers, they all got horribly seasick. They had to end the experiment early. But the Gallaudet 11, they're playing cards. Amazing. They actually had no adverse physical effects. They enjoyed the experience. I just think this is a group that was a key to the research that paved the way for hundreds of space flights since. Their volunteerism allowed humankind to explore space. Isaac Newton said, "If I've seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." So I share this little story to our candle of global concern for 3 reasons. First, to acknowledge the courage of the Gallaudet 11 in stepping forward for that work at a time when deaf people were not well treated in the world. Sure, they were paid, but clearly they saw beyond and they saw the greater need, and in doing so, really contributed to a remarkable part of our history. And it's a reminder for all of us that even our most glaring weaknesses or disabilities can be our strengths in the right light, in the right moment of our lives, particularly if we can be seen as our whole selves. And I think it's a reminder to all of us that all moments of history, even the worst moments like the ones we feel we're living in right now, are built on many previous moments in history. And that really, that all of us, as much as we fear the here and now, we got to remember the long game, that the larger arc of history is still bending towards the light, as hard as that is to see right now. So maybe let's just hold a quiet moment just to contemplate all of that. Our collective mission of humanity, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. So in a moment, I will invite Reverend Shawn Gauthier up here to share his thoughts with us about how to hold hope in these difficult times. Shawn is the minister at VanU, formerly known as Vancouver Unitarians. And Shawn is a very well-respected, revered minister and leader in the Canadian UU landscape. We've hosted Shawn several times previously, and we thank him again for coming to be with us today. But just before Shawn speaks, I wanted to share a concept that was shared with me recently that I have found so helpful as I walked through some difficult days. It's a deceptively simple idea. Any construction worker or laborer or like a bricklayer or a concrete worker will tell you that if you want to carry something really heavy, it becomes more doable, more efficient if we carry something equally heavy in the other hand. And right now, everything in the world seems incredibly heavy. We are carrying so much, things we are not choosing, things we have no control over. We would never ask the world to be like this. And it's not like we can just put these things down, right? Set them aside. So how do we carry with the heaviness of the world? Well, the good old blue-collar advice would simply tell us to fill the other hand with something equally weighty, heavy, and choose that to be goodness. It's a form of counterweight. It's not a balance, it's not denial, it's not gratitude with a pretty bow. It's a sense of both and, a counterweight. So I do choose to linger with the kittens or connect longer with friends as an intentional act, because no one can love my life for me. Recognizing, gathering the counterweights throughout my day keeps me in a rhythm of appreciation, of awareness of the all. That includes heavy goodness that can be right there in my other hand, and that can keep me walking forward in these difficult times. So Shawn, I hope your presence this morning will also be a form of counterweight in the current heaviness of the world, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's good to be back with you all. Before I begin, I'm going to offer some words from the great Black lesbian feminist poet Audre Lorde. And afterwards, we'll just hold a moment of silence to let these words settle in on our hearts. My silences had not protected me. Your silence will not protect you. What are the words you do not yet have? What are the tyrannies you swallow and attempt to make your own until you will sicken and die of them, still in silence? Perhaps for some of you here today, I am the face of one of your fears because I am a woman, because I am black, because I am lesbian, because I am myself, a black woman warrior doing my work. Come to ask you, are you doing your work? And of course, I am afraid because the transformation of silence into language and action is an act of self-revelation, and that always seems fraught with danger. But my daughter, when I told her of our topic and my difficulty with it, said, "Tell them about how you're never really a whole person if you remain silent, because there's always that one little piece inside you that wants to be spoken out. And if you keep ignoring it, it gets madder and madder and hotter and hotter. And if you don't speak it out, one day it will just up and punch you in the mouth from the inside." The fact that I speak these words is an attempt to break that silence and bridge some of those differences between us. For it is not difference which immobilizes us, but silence. And there are so many silences to be broken. We can never know when a moment of truth will arrive, a moment that will define our lives by whether we rise to it or yield, whether we let the moment pass or summon the courage to meet it face to face. Such moments of decision come to define any life, and they will come to define our lives over time. By what we've done and by what we've left undone is the record of our days on this planet written. And the thread that weaves through each of those days is the question of courage, the question of whether we can find within us the courage to act when a defining moment is upon us. There are, of course, many types of courage, or at least many ways to measure and describe it. Courage is sometimes synonymous with nerve and moxie and pluck, with valor and grit, with fearlessness and audacity. Sometimes we speak of someone who is daring or brave as being courageous, though I'm not so sure those are really the same thing as courage. Each of those other words shares shades of meaning with courage. But true courage, real moral courage, speaks more than the others to matters of the heart. The word itself, of course, comes from the French word cœur, the precious organ that beats out the pulse of life within each of us. Courage then calls us to take heart in the face of what frightens us, to take action knowing that our lives and maybe even our souls may well depend on it. The pioneering pilot Amelia Earhart said that courage is the price that life exacts for granting peace. Courage is the price that life exacts for granting peace. The soul that knows it not, she said, knows no release from little things, knows not the livid loneliness of fear, nor mountain heights where joy can hear the sound of wings. The cost of courage can sometimes be well beyond our budget, a price we are unable or simply unwilling to pay. So often, though, when cowardice overcomes our courage, we fail to account for the high cost exacted by not taking the more courageous path. I hear as a minister, that the cost is frequently paid for people in regret and remorse, in guilt and in grief. That's because when we let a moment of truth pass us by, something in the soul of who we are shrinks and our lives become so much smaller than they ever need to be. Too often we see the moments that call for courage as being the stuff of distant and ancient battlefields, the moments that have defined the lives of heroines and heroes down through time, rather than being the run-of-the-mill stuff of our each and every day. But courage is called for daily in the here and now, because moments of truth that put our courage to the test have a way of arriving when we least expect them. Though these stories are now the stuff of history, there are in the forefront of my mind this morning two iconic images of courageous moral resistance that I want to hold up to you. One is a well-known story of a woman on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. The other of the so-called unknown rebel of Tiananmen Square. Both of these images tell the story of people on the front lines of a battle that intersected with their workaday lives, with a struggle for justice and human dignity. The unknown rebel, the tank man as he is called, stood down a line of armored tanks all the while holding grocery bags in his hands. He had just been out shopping when he walked into history. Little is actually known about him. His identity is uncertain. It's widely thought that he was swiftly arrested and perhaps executed. His memory today, while known around the globe, is largely lost within his homeland, as the iconic photo etched in so many of our minds has been suppressed in China since the uprising in 1989. But what endures is the question of what prompted someone strolling back from the store to confront that array of tanks rolling through the square. Some suggest it was mental illness, that he wasn't in his right mind. It's hard to say, and it's unlikely that we will ever know. But as powerful as that image of him standing down a row of tanks is, what I find even more powerful is another photo that was released just a few years ago. It was a photo taken from ground level, not from the hotel balcony 6 floors up and at a safe distance, like the famous image that we all know, but from the sidewalk, 20 to 30 meters away from the man. What is seen in that image is a man determined and defiant. He is standing alone in the middle of the street as people are running for cover, fleeing in every direction. At the moment the photo was taken, the line of 18 tanks is still roughly 100 meters away. And there he stands, steady and calm. It turns out he didn't just dart into the street at the last minute. This was not something he did on a whim. He stood there with intention until the tanks came to him. That took courage. They drew close and he saw them and he wouldn't budge. They tried to go around him and he simply moved in their path again and again until they stopped. He then climbed onto the top of the first tank and engaged the driver in a conversation. Eventually, he made his way back down and then parked himself in front of the tank again. The standoff only ended when 2 people whisked him away to a fate unknown to this day. There's still some speculation that if he is alive, given the suppression of the photo within China, he may not even know of his fame around the world. And yet, his moment of truth is one that we carry as a profile in courage, an enduring image of resistance in the face of overwhelming power. I've often wondered what compelled him to take such bold action. What in his life had prepared him for such a moment he almost certainly hadn't anticipated when he woke up that morning, brushed his teeth, and headed out for some shopping. What speaks to us across the years and through those photos is his testament of defiance, of resistance, of someone doing something that surely scared him to death and may quite literally have brought about his untimely end. The other image I want to lift up for you today is the one of Rosa Parks on that Alabama bus. The classic story is of a demure black woman on her way home from a hard day's work as a seamstress in a downtown department store who was just too tired to give up her seat on a segregated bus when it was demanded of her by a white man. In the almost 70 years that have passed since that moment of truth, Rosa Parks' story has become the stuff of legend, and the actual facts covered over in the mists of modern mythology. As she told a reporter several years after the incident, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. The only tired I was tired of giving in." What history has had a hard time remembering is that what happened on December 1st, 1955 was not some singular act of resistance. In the 12 years prior to that day, Parks had been kicked off buses several times for her refusal to sacrifice her seat. She had even faced off with that same bus driver at least once before. And what is so often forgotten is that she had been studying and teaching nonviolent resistance for years by the time she boarded that bus on that December day. What she had learned is that you can practice courage, that you can study it and prepare until a moment that matters arrives. Yet the study of courage presents to us a paradox, and it requires of us a different form of discipline. To practice courage, it won't do you much good to hit the gym or study mixed martial arts. To become courageous, you need not hone the powers of the body and mind. To live courageously, you must harness the powers of the heart, for the key to courage is vulnerability. And that is the paradox. To be courageous requires opening ourselves to hurt and to harm, to injury and to insult. The courageous have a way of putting their hearts and sometimes their lives on the line. Brené Brown, as many of you may know, is a researcher who studies human connection, who studies what binds us together and what gets in the way. Earlier in her work, she noticed an odd trend that she couldn't quite explain. As she puts it in one of her wonderful TED Talks, when you ask people about love, they tell you about heartbreak. When you ask people about belonging, they'll tell you their most excruciating experiences of being excluded. And when you ask people about connection, the stories they tell are about disconnection. She struggled to understand this unnamed thing that unraveled connection and caused people to respond over and over again in this way. And what she found was that this unnamed thing is shame. That sense that each of us, at least occasionally, has, that simply put, we are not enough. That we are not good enough, not smart enough, not beautiful enough, not enough. In her research, though, Brown discovered there was a key difference between the people who have a strong sense of love and belonging and the people who really struggle for it. And that difference boiled down to the people who have a strong sense of love and belonging believe that they are worthy of love and belonging. That's it. They believe that they are worthy. She plunged into trying to better understand how such a sense could come about. And what she came up with is that these people are wholehearted people. She found that they share a deep sense of courage. Tracing back to the root meaning of the word, that these are people who tell the story of who they are with their whole heart. They had the capacity for vulnerability. They could pull it all out there. They could put their imperfections on display without worrying whether doing so might undermine their worth. They could be compassionate towards themselves and others. And they could be their most authentic selves because, as she says, they were willing to let go of who they thought they should be in order to be who they were. Warts and all, they were themselves. What made them vulnerable is also what made them beautiful. They didn't consider being vulnerable excruciating because they knew that it was simply necessary to living a courageous and connected life. And she found with the other group, with the ones not quite living with their whole hearts, that they had a way of resisting vulnerability at all costs, often numbing feelings of grief and shame and disappointment, the kinds of things that none of us really wants to feel. And yet, as her research makes so starkly clear, you cannot selectively numb. When we numb the emotions that we try to keep at bay, we also numb ourselves to happiness and to gratitude and to joy. The very first principle of our Unitarian faith is that we uphold and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And yet I know that a good many of us find this principle easier to apply to other people than ourselves. There's some chuckles there. Out of fear that we are somehow lacking, we numb ourselves to not only the hard stuff, but to the good stuff too. And so my hope, my prayer for you today is that each of you might come to live with your whole hearts, with compassion for your own faults and imperfections, for your sins and your shortcomings, to know that you are of intrinsic worth, to know that you are enough, to know that you can live with courage by living with a heart wide open, to practice the art of vulnerability, knowing that we can live for what we love rather than what we fear, to summon within you the courage, the strength of heart, to meet life's challenges as an act of resistance when it matters most. Our moments of truth may never call us to stand down a line of tanks or to refuse to budge on a bus. But our moments of truth come every day, on the bus and in the grocery store, in our homes and our schools and our offices, calling us to be courageous by being vulnerable. May we trust deeply enough in our own worth that we might risk an authentic life. May we put ourselves on the line, knowing in our heart of hearts that courage truly is the price that life exacts for granting peace, and yet be unconcerned about counting the costs. So may it be this day and all the days we are given on this good green earth. Blessed be.
My mother, when love is gone, my mother, when love is gone, in our darkest hour hope lingers on.
My Father, when peace is gone, my Father, when peace is gone,
In our darkest hour hope lingers on. I will not hate, and I will not fear, in our darkest hour hope lingers here. My sister, when equality's gone, my sister, when equality's gone, in our darkest hour hope lingers on. My brother, with tolerance gone, my dawn, with tolerance gone, in our darkest hour hope lingers on. I will not hate, and I will not fear, in our darkest hour hope lingers here. My love, when honor is gone, my love, when honor is gone, in our darkest hour hope lingers on. My country, when justice is gone, my country, when justice is gone, in our darkest hour hope lingers on. I will not hate, and I will not fear, in our darkest hour hope lingers here. I will not hate, and I will not fear, in our darkest hour hope lingers here.
Thank you, Shawn. Thank you, Vox Lumina. I now invite us into the spiritual practice of generosity. Designated funds that go into our collection plate go directly to local, nonprofit, registered charities that are community-minded and align with our values. Any undesignated funds that are put into the plate support our internal operations. This month, we're supporting the Pacific Salmon Foundation. It's an amazing CRA-registered charity that does a lot. All of their websites, amazing, beautiful images on their website, and it shares what they do, their research, their habitat restoration programs, and their direct support of other organizations involved in habitat restoration, including the North Shore Streamkeepers, who will be here actually at North Shore Unitarians next Sunday after the Earth Day service. Also, thank you for showing up on Sunday mornings. It's an important part of the work and the belovedness of this community. Just a few announcements this morning. We can't smell it yet, but there is lovely casserole lunch. Again, amazingly done by Diane Hicks, so please come join us after the service. Suggestion is $5 a person, but regardless, just come. Next week is our Earth Day service titled In the Deep Heart's Core. And I know Marcia Stevenson and Michelle Sheardown have been working hard, and it looks to be a really beautiful service that highlights our interconnection with nature. And after the service next week, as part of the Sustainability Sundays that the environmental team has been arranging, they have Dave Lovely. What a great name, Dave Lovely. From the North Shore Streamkeepers, who's going to come and speak after the service as a workshop. So it sounds like next Sunday is a day not to be missed. Are there any other announcements? All right then. Let's rise together and sing the beautiful song, Fire of Commitment by Jason Shelton. Please be seated. Well, let us together close our service. We extinguish this flame, carry with us the light of vision and the warmth of hope. The world calls us to live with depth, meaning, and purpose. We go forth with courage and love. Just some closing words by Cory Booker, actually. He said, "Hope confronts. Hope doesn't ignore pain or agony or injustice. It's not a saccharine optimism that refuses to see or face or grapple with the wretchedness of reality. But you can't have hope without despair, because hope is a response. Hope is the active, defiant conviction that despair will never have the last word." So friends, may we bring more hope into our daily lives, remembering we need hope and joy as counterweights to help us walk forwards in these heavy days. Let us circle round.